Okay, let's take a look at this next project. What we're trying to do here is actually ask a question and then see if we can answer it using some data. The question here is there's a standard political dogma that Democrats want big government and that Republicans want to create jobs. And so our proxy for that will be government employment and private employment. Government employment representing big government, private employment representing jobs that is implied by that statement. And the question is that right? Does the data support that political dogma? And that's really one of the purposes of this course is that you'll be able to go out and actually answer a question like that. You don't have to listen to a political pundit or something tell you what they think about it. Go out and grab the data and actually decide for yourself. And in fact, part of this is we ask you to write a short paragraph of your analysis of this data that we make you collect. Like, is that a true statement? According to the data. So what's really going on here? We're asking you to create some average. What's the average government employment? What's the average private employment? And you already know how to do that kind of thing because you've been doing that in other projects. Here's a file of information, collect the data, find an average. No big deal. The catch here is that we want to collect just the Republican data and separately collect the Democratic data and find the averages of those years. So now how do we decide that? Well, we give you yet another file, and that's the president's file, and that has information about the presidents and the party. Of course, this is a simplification. We're ignoring Congress and all that, but we're just looking at the presidents. So these data files that we have, they are arranged so that there's a header line. Oh, we've seen that before, and it starts with a year, and then it has monthly data. And even though the header file says there's annual, in fact there isn't. So it's really just the monthly data that's in there. And so we want to find out which of these years are Republican years and which of these years are Democratic years and collect the data for those months. Now, how do we do that? Well, we give you another file, and that file has some recent presidents in it. Okay. Now, if I just said, look at this file and what years were Democrats in the presidency, you could just read the file and tell me what years they were. You say, 1977, that's a Democratic year. All the way up to 81, so 77, 78, 79, and 80. And remember that we give the rules here. 81 is actually just January, so we don't count that. So those are all Democratic years. Great. Okay, so then then starting from 81 to 89, those were Republican years. And then again, we actually go all the way up to 93, right? So there's a set of Republican years. Actually, we just go up to 92. Right? So how do I have a program that extracts that information? Well, think about it this way. How do we do this? All right, so the Democrats have 1977, 1978, 1979, 1980, and then we skip all the way down into 1993, 1994, and so on. And we can do the same thing with Republicans. So Republicans were 1981, 1982, blah, blah, blah. And then I can use this information together with the file of the employment data to figure out, collect the months of data that are Democratic, collect the months of data that are Republican. So how do I get this information out of here? It's just these numbers. Right. So you need to read this president's file, get these numbers. There's comma separated, but watch out, there's an extra comma in here with Carter you got to watch out for. But if you think about it, it's real easy to handle that. And we tell you which ones are Democrats and which ones are Republicans. So you've got that information right in there. And so read this file, collect up the Democratic years, collect up the Republican years. It ought to be obvious by now what data structure you're going to collect those in. And once you have that data, then you can read in all this government data. And we got to use dictionaries someplace. This is a beautiful place to use dictionaries. How might you use a dictionary? Well, that's what you get to decide, but you know, there's really, these are indexed by the years, and then there's a bunch of data with it, so hopefully that will give you a clue as to how to set up your dictionary. So read all your data into a dictionary, use these years to collect the right data. That's what this program is all about. And I'm not going to write any code here, that's to give you a clue. Be careful. I don't want you by hand to collect all these years. You know, you should have a program that can read these files. And in fact, this data is old because it had preliminary data there. I should, and in fact I will, go and get updated data. And I can even update the data will go beyond what is shown in here, and I should be able to have a test your program with say Obama's data going up through say 13 or maybe even into 14 depending on what's there. There'll be a couple more lines here. So I should be able to use this data, run it on your program, and everything will work fine. And in fact, that's probably how I will go about testing this. What are the real numbers? Well, figure it out. You need to test that out in your program to get that. So I've given you some help in terms of the problem. Again, it's always there's a small problem trying to get its way out of a bigger one. And here, oh yeah, I need to read this file and collect the years that these are guys in. I need to collect all of these guys into a dictionary. And then after that, it's just like stuff you've done before. I'll read a file, just go through these, go through this data. In this case, it's in dictionaries. Add up the Republican years, add up the Democratic years, and then do the simple statistics, which is just things like find the averages. Okay, good luck with that.